Once upon a time, in a deep and ancient forest, there lived a pair of crafty goblins.
The crafty goblins did everything together, until one day, when darkness overwhelmed the big wooden house in which they lived.
Blamed for the darkness, Brother Goblin was forced to leave the forest, while his sister had to stay behind.
Ten years later, they were finally reunited, and together, they decided to confront the darkness in the big wooden house.
Though they sought the help of their friends in the forest, they found that no one wanted to delve into the long-gone past.
The moose, the bear, the frog.
This is how the goblins found themselves alone in the woods, trying to discover why darkness had submerged the big wooden house.
Tomorrow we should play Compass and North Star in the woods.
Be sure to wear your hat then.
You be sure to wear your hat.
All right, who wants ice cream?
Me!
Eat up.
Again, at first glance, this seems like a loving home.
Without a word, she went out and buried the tiara in the ground beneath the sapling. And as the final scoop of dirt fell, the tiara felt truly gone, and with it, the final link to her old self. She could only go forward and find a new place for herself in this world, where she was no longer truly a princess in a tiara and a beautiful gown, but a wan woman, alone in a deep and ancient wood. And that was how the princess lost her most precious treasure, and her title.
I don't like that story. There were no goblins, and it was depressing.
We won't read it again.
I love you, Mom.
Not me. Just kidding. Love you, Mom.
Mwah. I love you too. Sleep well and dream, my doves.
Mom was dealing with a lot. Debt, maybe some mental health issues,
Ollie?
and who knows whatever else.
Ollie? What a waste.
That's been sitting there for a while.
Alyson! Ollie! Alyson, help! Mom, I killed her.
Obviously, a bit of a moot point now, but if they were able to get help right away, probably things wouldn't have turned out that way. In all of our flashbacks, except for the last rainy night, it seemed like it was a pretty loving home, despite there not really being a father in the picture, despite how, in the modern day, the twins speak so poorly of their mom. Or they used to, before they realized that it seems like there was some kind of, misunderstanding? Or some kind of truth that we don't know about. That maybe perhaps our mom was trying to protect us from. People in the town, all they want to do is bury the past and move forward. But in a small town like this, they know, they remember. They just don't want to say. Oh, I like the sequence a lot. Feels very time travel-y. And it's kind of doubly sad too, because you know that this never happened. Because they were separated for 10 years. In addition to losing their mother, they lost all of their childhood time together too. You can never get that back. I'm especially worried about Alyson, though. Tyler had a pretty good support system growing up in the residential center, but Alyson, people around her don't want to talk, and up until a few years ago, her brother didn't even want to talk to her at all, didn't want to see her. It's really quite worrying.
Hey. You doing all right?
I thought coming here would be closing a chapter of our lives, you know?
And instead, we've spun off a whole miserable prequel trilogy. Okay. No. We're not letting ourselves do this again. Come on, up. Mind-numbing labor's a great way to forget your troubles.
Can't we just have coffee instead?
No. On your feet, soldier. Let's take a break from packing and sort out the furniture. If we get enough done, I'll drive you into town and buy you a gallon of ice cream.
Mint chocolate chip, 2 gallons. Let's do this.
That's a lot of ice cream for one day.
Goblin face is keep, $sign is donate or sell, and trash can is, well, trash. By the way, I cleared out most of the stuff from the bathroom this morning, but I left you the toilet.
How very generous of you.
Very kind of you. Thank you. Who's that lady on the left? Is that my mom?
We don't really want to keep anything in here, right?
I don't know. Do you want to keep anything? Sell whatever's there.
Thanks for clearing out those cabinets.
Not my pleasure.
Medicine?
Oh, ew, ew, ew. Ravensara.
Oh, God. I can still taste it. Put it away. Ugh.
Say ah. Ah.
I remember cutting off shaving cream beards with these.
Oh, yeah.
10-year-old popsicle sticks? Well, those things don't expire anyway. But it might be kinda dirty. You doing alright today, Alyson?
What about that dresser?
If you want your towels to rot, go for it.
Maybe someone could clean it up? It's well made.
Your call.
Yeah, keep it for the next person.
Keeping it.
I think you guys have to consider that moving out stuff costs money too, so keeping it here is probably better for us financially because, you know, calling a moving truck and all.
Everywhere I look, there's just stuff, stuff, and more stuff.
Marianne the Magpie.
Little trinkets here and there.
Hello, ancient broken down machines that will be the future owner's problem.
Oh, by the way, I forgot to mention, hey, it's Welonz. Welcome back to episode 2. Sorry, it's been so long. But, yeah. When we last left off episode 1, we had a bit of a rude awakening at the end of it because we learned that Alyson was the one who killed their mother. But for these two, nothing really special happened. Even the sighting of the Mad Hunter in episode 1 in the police station, they didn't see it. So to them, everything's pretty normal right now. Are you gonna trash the entire room? It's a nice house. It really is. It's huge.
What to do with this?
The table? It fits so nicely though. I kinda wanna keep it. Or, you know, sell it for money maybe.
Maybe someone would be willing to refinish it.
Maybe. Oh, wow.
What's this doing down here?
What does it say there? Goblins were here.
Is that gum?
Ew.
I guess that was probably me.
The big frog. Goblins were here. And from the beginning recap, pretty obvious that besides for the princess representing my mom and the goblins representing me and Tyler, the moose, the bear, and the frog represented people in the town too. We actually didn't get any other icons here yet, but now we have the frog.
The big frog is an effervescent creature who tries to be kind, but is also a tireless gossip. The Ice King punished her once by telling her his deepest secret. If she ever tells anyone, she'll lose her voice forever.
Punished? Ice King telling the big frog their secrets. I didn't get around to finishing reading all of the stuff in the storybook. There are 80 pages, but as far as I can see, there's no easy way for me to pull it up again, which is kinda sad. I really wish they had that.
I completely forgot we had a pet vole for a few days.
Poor Volcano. She was in rough shape when we found her. Good thing Marianne actually knew what she was doing with injured wildlife.
Volcano.
Lasagna! Lasagna!
Finish your salad first. Thank you, Tessa. You're a lifesaver.
Oh, don't worry about it. They're just leftovers from the restaurant.
What about Volcano? She needs to eat her lunch too.
Oh, quite right, love.
She can have my corn.
Here you go, little one. You must be hungry too.
Tessa really did keep us all fed.
She always tried to take care of everyone. Still does, I guess.
That's how poor we were. Like, we had to get leftovers from the restaurant. That's pretty bad. That's like a concerning level of poverty.
I guess it's finally time to take these pictures down.
Yeah, still deciding what to do with them.
I think we should keep one or two. At the minimum, we can never take these photos again.
I mean, most of them are pretty happy memories.
I guess.
You look cute here.
That's not me. I mean, it is, but...
Sorry, is that a bit...
But not really. I get it.
It's just weird. Seeing myself like that again. Damn. Didn't think a picture could throw me like this anymore.
Oh, yeah, in that case, I don't know how the photo might make you feel if we keep it.
Has therapy helped at all?
Oh, yeah, definitely. My therapist really heard me when I said I was a guy. And she helped me get ready for the reactions I'd get, you know? It's dealing with other people that's been way harder than figuring myself out. At the end of the day, being able to look in the mirror and see Tyler, that's made the biggest difference. Which is why I'm scheduling my top surgery as soon as we sell this house. No more putting a binder on every morning. God, that sounds fucking amazing.
Yeah, totally. Just so you know, I'll be there to help out when you do. Whatever you need.
Thanks.
All right. What's your verdict, Ronan?
You know what? I'll keep a few. To remind us how far we've come.
Yeah, we don't have to like keep it in our new home in the living room or anything. We can stash it away, but maybe one day later on, we'll want to look at it again. I wonder how we're doing money-wise now. We're moving away, and Alyson went to college, but Alyson going to college might have to do with Eddie. Who in the world is that? Is that supposed to be Eddie?
Oh man, I love this one.
Why do I look so pissed? I remember loving this.
Maybe because Marianne was sticking a camera in your face?
Come on, honey, smile like Alyson.
Where did we take the picture? Somewhere in the living room.
Come on, honey, smile like Alyson.
Hold up your fish.
It's not my fish anymore. Alyson stole it.
Oh, so Eddie was around.
My sister, the fish thief.
You were just being bratty.
Was I, though?
Yes. All I did was help clean it when we were out on the porch. Eddie had to force you to share. Ugh. Gross stain is gross.
What happened?
Some unfortunate spillage that brought about the end of indoor tea parties. I hid the stain with my toys, forgetting that they would eventually be picked up.
Brilliant move, Ronan.
Well, I seem to recall a time you stole an egg, put it on the couch, and sat on it because you wanted a pet chicken.
We don't talk about that.
Uh-huh.
Well, at least I didn't leave a stain.
The egg didn't leave a stain? I'm a bit surprised.
Ooh, I could turn this thing into a terrarium.
You want to keep some other pet?
Steady now. Take your time. He's not gonna jump up and do the cha-cha.
What about me? I want to clean the fish too.
It's not even your fish. You didn't catch anything.
Ugh, only because you wouldn't stop talking and scared all the fish away.
Keep your eyes on what you're doing. Alyson, when we're done with this half, you can take over and do the other one. That sound fair?
Yes.
You're right. I was kind of being a brat.
Even though you guys are the same age. For these type of memories, we don't really care because it's just average everyday stuff. But once we get into the territory of our memories being faulty, conflicting, missing, incomplete, that might be a problem. And it's gonna happen because humans don't remember things perfectly.
That's a nice vase.
I wonder if my horse figurine is still in there.
Your what now?
You know, my blue toy horse. With the kind of melted face. The one you stole from me.
What? That never happened.
Yeah, it did. I won it at that little Halloween carnival they had at the school every year. You grabbed it and hid it in the pot. Then when I tried to get it back, you said there was a snake inside too.
You think I stole everything from you?
Whoa, whoa, whoa. Hold on. I think I remember the snake part, but you didn't win that horse. I did. And you were crying because you hadn't won anything, so I gave it to you.
That makes no sense. Why would you hide it if you gave it to me?
Because kids are kids?
See? Already. Memories not representing the truth. That's sort of a theme here, and that's exactly why we're in this house right now to begin with, because we somehow misremembered what happened.
Alyson, I asked you to clean up the coffee table 3 times already.
Oops. I forgot.
Okay, I'll clean it up right now. Yeesh.
All right. I'll clean it up.
Thanks. While you do that, I'll check out the furniture. I'm guessing you want to keep the coffee table?
It looks really crappy.
If there's anything you want, speak now.
I'm not really planning on bringing furniture to Denali. And if I need a base in Juneau, you'll have all the furniture I need.
How very non-committal of you. All right. I'll keep it.
Yeah, he was gonna go to that Denali thing, so we're not gonna live together or even be close, even though we haven't been together for so long.
I really like that armchair.
Maybe sit in it for a few minutes and see if you get used to the mold smell first.
On second thought, never mind.
Yeah, it's a bit.
Another one for the landfill.
Wow, look at the couch. Even that's got a bear on it.
And finally, I hate to say it, but the couches get a one-way ticket to the dump.
No protest here. I think I have permanent knee damage from a decade of bumping into the corner of those damn things.
Well, then that's it for the living room. You are relieved from your duties.
It's a bit of a unique couch, though. Oh!
Are you gonna keep doing that?
What is it? I've never seen this kind of thing before. Some kind of toy that makes noise when you turn it upside down?
Guess you are.
Oh!
Having fun, are we?
Yeah, I am.
This is getting utterly ridiculous.
Thanks for joining. It does sound like a cow. I was gonna say moose because cows moo. How does that work? What's inside? I'm so fascinated. I've never seen this before.
Alright, I guess that is pretty funny.
Are you gonna keep talking? For as long as you are, I'm gonna keep doing this. What in the world is inside? Oh my gosh. I thought it was some kind of a salt shaker. Okay, I'm done. Wait, could we look at the stuff on the table? I don't think so. This couch is going. Even that book is going. Or maybe we're keeping it. I don't know. What about the photo here? Whoa, we have a record player. My goodness. I wonder how long Marianne's lived in Delos Crossing. Because in one of the stories that we read, the princess was running away from something and then she landed in the forest. Which could probably be Marianne running away from something into Delos Crossing. Running away from something into a small town because she doesn't want to be found. Makes sense.
You hungry? We have a whole lot of nothing.
Aw, I was hoping maybe you could make me one of those pickle and ketchup sandwiches.
Ew.
Ugh, why'd you have to remind me of that?
I don't know how you ate that stuff.
Says the guy who used to eat peanut butter with ranch.
So good.
Crummy table and wobbly chairs.
It works. It works. But okay, we'll sell it if we can.
We could make some pretty good money if we sell this. And I know I'd end up eating on the couch most of the time anyway.
Oh God, what's that smell?
What's that smell? What's that smell?
Sam?
Smells like delicious garbage. Ooh, yes, delicious indeed. Or could it be Stinky Pants Sam? Oh, Stinky Pants Sam!
Come on now.
Don't be rude.
Sam got that smell getting a skunk out of our barn. Be nice.
A skunk? What did you do to her? Is she okay?
Sure is. She just went hunting for food and couldn't get back out. All she needed was a little nudge to get her on her way.
Sam Kansky, hero of skunk kind.
I remember being super impressed by him, and it made me want to be a wild animal superhero too.
Sam didn't seem drunk at all in that short scene. Might be a bit of a leap, but maybe him being drunk all the time has to do with my mom. Oh my god, recipes. Ancient recipes.
Alyson, come take a break with me.
What?
Starting the fire again?
Yeah, I'm gonna boil some water. You want something to drink?
Can I? Tea? Coffee? Tea.
Earl Grey or chai?
Your call. I'm fixing myself a good old cup of joe.
Ah, a nice pot of wakey juice.
Papa needs his rocket fuel.
I am so glad Eddie came through on the caffeine.
Shh, did you hear that?
The Ice King is sending us a warning.
Winter is coming. I'd rather have water, to be honest.
For your punishment, said the Ice King, you shall be banished from the forest. And if you dare come back before the new moon, you shall feel my anger in your gut. Hear it in the wind. Whoosh!
Do you think the Ice King would really react that way? He may be intimidating, but he's always fair and never mean.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Maybe he tells the goblins to help the people they hurt instead?
Great idea, sweetie. Why don't we think about it at dinner? I'll put everything away for safekeeping while you go wash your hands.
Can you put them in the binder so they don't get stained?
Of course, love.
I still think my dark and twisty version was better.
We put so many hours into that book.
Yeah. Our binder was full of extra drawings and incomplete stories. Think they're all still in the kitchen drawer?
We should go take a look.
I think they mentioned before that most of the stories in the book was done by us. But the one story that my mom wrote was the Princess's Party, which is the one that we used to solve the
Alyson,
door.
Let's look at our drawings.
But I wonder how much mom put in that book. I mean, of what happened to her.
Allison's first drafts. Right. 'Cause I didn't contribute at all.
Come on. I know you did. I can't believe she kept all these.
You'd think putting them on the fridge for a couple of weeks would have been enough.
You know how we thought of ourselves as the goblins? Did you ever get the sense that maybe Mary Ann was the princess in the stories?
No!
Yeah. She called her bedroom the princess's sanctum. And she was all alone in the woods, in this house, until we showed up.
She was. Alone, but with a few friends who helped her along the way.
What are you doing?
Research. So, if Marianne was the princess, then who were all the rest?
And here we go.
Oh, come on. Humor me.
Okay, we get a chance to read again, but like, oh my god, honestly, I want to read it. I do want to read them all, but there's so many. Plus, the formatting makes it a bit difficult. But you know what? Okay, first of all, who do we have to figure out here? So the actual goal. Oh, we have the moose, the pelican, and the bear. And then over there, there's some like drafts of what looks to be the Mad Hunter and whatnot. Okay, let's focus on reading stories about those ones then. I know we read the first one, and then we also read The Princess's Party, and then the other one that we also read was what? The Goblins Earn Their Voice. If we could pull this up all the time, I'd love to like maybe read 2 or 3 every so often. I really hope we can, but it doesn't let me do it all the time. For now, let's say The Bear and the Princess. Yeah. Once upon a time, in the ancient and deep forest, the old bear stood on the bank of the river, swiping at salmon on their way to the spawning grounds. Just as he's got his paw on a particularly fat one, he heard a woman shouting for help. He considered simply eating his salmon, but then she screamed again, and he lumbered over to investigate. After a short walk, he found the princess clinging to the top of the tree, while a wolf snarled and snapped at the base of the tree. The old bear would normally not get in the middle of such a situation. After all, as a fellow predator, he understood the wolf's need to hunt. But when he saw the princess, he was struck by her beauty, and he knew he had to help. With a great roar, the bear heaved onto his hind legs, rising to his full height. The wolf snapped and snarled in his direction, but the bear roared again, and the wolf took off into the trees, tail between his legs. The old bear fell back down on all fours and stared up at the princess. She regarded him fearfully. "You can come down," he said. "How do I know you didn't save me just so you can eat me yourself?" asked the princess. "I suppose this is a fair question," admitted the old bear. "But I promise, I won't eat you." The princess had no reason to trust the old bear, except that he had kind eyes, and so she slowly made her way down the tree. When she reached the ground, the bear only watched her, and so she supposed she was not going to be eaten today. "Thank you," she told the old bear. "Of course," he said. "Can I walk with you back to your home?" "Of course," said the princess. And so the princess and the old bear walked together through the forest, back to the big wooden house. After that day, the princess would occasionally find gifts from the bear: a fresh caught salmon, a handful of ripe berries, a newly bloomed bluebell. One spring, when a sudden thaw flooded the path out of the princess's home, the old bear was there, and she rode his back across the river. The old bear began to think that the princess should be his mate. After all, she had no mate, and she needed one, and he could keep her warm and provide her a much more suitable den and catch fish for her and protect her from the wolves. She, in turn, would brush out his fur and pick berries without smooshing half of them, and scratch that one part of his back he couldn't reach. And with how she took care of the goblins, she would be an excellent mother for his cubs. One day, the old bear came with a ring of spruce and asked the princess to be his bride. "I'm sorry," said the princess. "You are a very good friend, and I appreciate all you've done for me, but I cannot marry you. You're a bear, and I'm a princess. It would never work." The old bear was crushed. "Can we still be friends?" he asked. "We will always be friends," said the princess, "but I will never marry you." Okay, adding that last line for insurance. The old bear and the princess carried on their friendship, and after 1 year, he tried again to ask her to be his bride. Yeah, she added that line to begin with because she knew that was gonna happen, because that happens. But once again, she refused him. This happened 1 year later, and 1 year after that, and then finally, the princess said, "Old bear, you are my dear friend, and I appreciate all you have done for me. But I would sooner you have left me to the wolves than marry you, and that is how it will always be. I have my hands full with the 2 goblins who live under my house, and they are all I need." That wounded the old bear deeply, but it was finally enough to stop his proposals. They remained friends, and he continued to give her gifts of fresh salmon and ripe berries and newly bloomed bluebells, but the old bear never again asked the princess to be his bride. much as he might have wanted to. And that is how the princess befriended the old bear, and how she refused him. Okay. Based on what we've seen so far, I would be inclined to say this is Sam. Somebody who comes around and helps us out, but is not my mom's spouse, I guess? I mean, even for Eddie, I'm not really sure if my mom was seeing him, but yeah, Bear kind of fits that stocky image I have of Sam too. Oh, so we have little tabs here for each of the stories. How many are there? 3, 6, 10. Oh, 20 stories. Oh, actually, when you put it like that, maybe it's not so bad. Maybe it's not so bad to read 80 pages of content. Anyway. Let's do... We don't need to figure out the beaver, but since this is in order anyway. Yeah, let's read the beaver one. This is just for learning. The beaver fixes the house. Once upon a time, in an ancient and deep forest, there lived a wise princess in a big wooden house. One night, a particularly violent storm shook the house. It shook the shingles on the roof and the planks in the walls. It even shook the beams on which the house stood, blowing the whole thing near to its ground. The princess hid in a closet, fearing the house would come down on her as she slept. In the morning, the house was still standing, but it was badly damaged. The storm had blown the shingles off the roof and planks off the walls, and even bent the post upon which the house stood. The first 2 things she could fix, but the last concerned her. What will I do? Despaired the wise princess, for though she knew many things, she did not know how to fix the big wooden house. Just then, the old bear came by to see if the princess had any trouble in the storm. When he found her nailing planks back into place, he said, "Stop, princess. Let me do that for you." "I'm happy to do it," said the princess, "but if you want to help with the roof, you may." When the pair were done with the roof and the walls, they examined the bent support post. "I could throw my body against it," said the old bear. "I am very large." He stretched up onto his hind legs, being sure the princess could appreciate how very large he was, then charged straight at the post. He threw his body against it with an impressive thud. The impact moved the post, but too far, and it ended up bent the other direction. The wise princess decided more precision was needed. She thought then of the very old beaver, who kept an excellently crafted dam. Perhaps she can help. It's a female beaver. She went looking for the very old beaver, an old beaver, and found the industrious animal hard at work slapping down mud on a part of her dam that had been blown apart in the storm. Most of the structure was unharmed because the beaver was very good at building things. The princess knew she had come to the right place. "Beaver," she said, "my house was damaged in the storm. Would you help me fix it?" "I believe I could do that, yes," said the very old beaver, and she paused at fixing her own den to follow the princess. The very old beaver examined the big wooden house and nodded. "It will be an easy fix," she said, and she set about righting the post with loud slaps of her tail. When she was done, the wise princess stroked the beaver's head. "Thank you, beaver," she said. "The wind blew the shingles off the roof and the planks off the walls, and even bent this post. Now, thanks to you, I still have a home." "Think nothing of it," said the very old beaver, who returned to work on her own den once again. "So an old woman who helps me." That winter, the very old beaver grew ill, very ill. She was not able to fix her den, nor to gather food. When the princess found out, she set about delivering meals to the beaver. She brought stews of corn and beans in baskets full of bark and twigs from the beaver's favorite aspen. One day, the wise princess noticed that the beaver's den had begun to fall apart. She set about fixing it, and though she was not as talented as a very old beaver, the fix kept the creature warm and dry. "Thank you," said the very old beaver. "Of course," said the princess. "You helped me when the storm blew my house near to the ground. Thanks to you, I still have a home, and I am happy to do the same." The princess continued to nurse the old beaver until the day she came to the dam, and the forest was still. No birds sang, no branches rustled, no small things skittered within the underbrush. "Oh," said the princess, staring sadly at the dam, for she knew the old beaver had passed on. "Goodbye, my friend." And that is how the very old beaver saved the big wooden house, and how the wise princess repaid her kindness. So this might not be a person that we'll meet because they seem to be gone already. Oh, I guess we should look at the paintings too, right? Or the pictures. The bear. The very old beaver. Okay. So we read the first 4. Well, just based on intuition, Bear should be Sam, Pelican should be Tessa, Moose should be... Moose is fishing. I would assume Eddie. Yeah, because earlier we saw a memory of Eddie fishing too. I'm pretty sure that's right, but we can confirm it by reading something related to those animals. Goblins in the ice cave, Princess and the 2 thieves. Princess makes new friends. Let's see here. The goblins saved the old beaver, again, even though, maybe 10 years ago, the old beaver was still around. The Pelican. The Pelican helps her friends. Yeah, it's Tessa. For sure. Once upon a time, in a deep and ancient forest, an early winter storm blanketed everything in snow. It was so early in the year that the creatures of the forest were not yet ready for an ordinary winter, much less a bad one, and everyone agreed that the storm was a sign the Ice King had plans for a long, cold winter. The princess had grown up in a kingdom where it was sunny all year long, and the goblins were very young, so no one in the big wooden house knew how to prepare for such a winter. The house was not well insulated, and they did not have enough fuel or food. Only the pious Pelican noticed their plight, and when it came time to fly south with the other birds, her heart was heavy with sadness. What can I do? She thought. I'm a migratory bird, and if I were to stay, who would look after my flock? Someone mentioned that Tessa might be Filipino, so maybe that's a reference to her being an immigrant. The time came to go, and the Pelican struggled to take flight. It felt as though a leaden weight were struck in the center of her chest. What can I do? She thought. I'm a migratory bird, and if I were to stay, who would look after my flock? She managed to take off, but only just barely, flapping fiercely to catch up with the other birds. As the pious Pelican began her journey, the storm picked up, battering her to and fro. She had fallen well behind the flock, and she was already growing tired, but for all her challenges in the air, she could tell things were much worse on the ground. A deep freeze had settled over the forest. The leaden weight in her chest grew heavier as she thought of the princess and the goblins. What can I do? She thought. I'm a migratory bird, and if I were to stay, who would look after my flock? The storm intensified, and the Pelican was in a total whiteout. She knew she should have despaired, but all she could feel was the weight, which had grown and grown until she thought she might drop out of the sky. She had felt called to help the princess and the goblins, but she had ignored it. I should have stayed, she thought. It was the right thing to do, and now I'm lost, with no way to make it right. Suddenly, she was plucked from the sky and deposited into the hall of the Ice King. Pelican, he said, you were flying in circles around my mountain. I was lost, she said, weighted down by the weight of guilt in my heart. The Ice King stared at her sagely. Is it guilt, or is it something else? Open your beak. He reached down inside of her, pulling out a glowing stone. The pious Pelican was surprised at how it filled her with warmth, chasing away cold and her doubt. You know what you must do, said the Ice King. The pious Pelican flew straight to the big wooden house. Snow had already blown in through its many cracks, and ice crept across the floorboards. She found the princess and the goblins huddled in front of the quiet hearth, nearly frozen solid. No! She cried, and then she placed the stone in the princess's lap. The warmth of it spread through the whole of the house, melting all that had frozen. The princess threw her arms around the Pelican's chest, and the goblins clung to her legs. Thank you, they cried. You're welcome, said the Pelican, smiling in deep satisfaction. What is that? Asked the princess, staring at the wonderful stone. At first, said the Pelican, I thought it was my guilt, but when the Ice King pulled it out of me, I realized it was something much more powerful. Just then, the storm broke, and the skies cleared. The Pelican filled the big wooden house's larder with food from her beak, and then she took to the skies, lightened by the knowledge that through her charity, everyone in the big wooden house would be warm and fed until spring. And that is the story of how the pious Pelican saved the wise princess and the crafty goblins from the long winter. Yeah, this is corresponding with the memories we saw about how Tessa gave us leftovers from the restaurant. I thought it was guilt, but when the Ice King pulled it out of me, I realized it was something much more powerful. Compassion, sympathy, empathy. Tessa is somebody who gives. I think you can tell that much at least. So even though she was, giving recommendations for conversion therapy and whatever, I don't think she did it out of malice, but that was just her understanding of how to fix things, so to say, at the time. Let's read one about the moose, if we can. The moose teaches the goblins. Eddie, for sure. Once upon a time, in a deep and ancient forest, the crafty goblins were hungry. This wasn't unusual, the goblins were always hungry, but today, they were particularly hungry. They opened the wise princess's cupboards to look for a snack, but all she had was a small pile of nuts and berries and just one strip of dried fish. The goblins grabbed it all and gobbled it up, but they were still hungry. They went out into the woods to look for more to eat. First, they dropped by the small pond. The big frog was asleep, and beside the pond was a pile of insects she had caught for eating after she woke up. The goblins crept up to the pile, careful not to wake the big frog. As they got close, she riveted loudly, and they froze. But the big frog kept sleeping, so they grabbed up the pile of insects and gobbled it up, but they were still hungry. Who would the frog be? The frog, in one of the first stories, was saying something about how it's a woman. Yeah, it's a woman, and they also helped out the princess. As they crept back into the woods, they found the stalwart moose watching them. Did you just steal the big frog's food? The goblins tried not to look guilty but failed. She said we could have them, they cried. Oh really, said the moose. Let's ask her. So the moose woke up Big Frog and asked, did you say the goblins could have your food? The big frog looked at the goblins, who she knew were always hungry, and nodded. Yes, I did. Really? Asked the moose, surprised. Frog nodded, and the moose sighed. All right then, he said, and he had to let the goblins go. Their next stop was the river. They watched as Old Bear swiped at a leaping salmon, catching it deftly in his large paws. He lay it out upon a rock and left it to dry, lumbering into the woods to seek out some berries. The crafty goblins crept up to the rock, carefully, in case Old Bear returned. They reached the rocks, grabbed the salmon, and gobbled it all up, but they were still hungry. Why were they so hungry? Is it saying that they didn't have money and they were poor all the time? The twins. As they crept back into the woods, the stalwart moose was once again waiting for them. Are you gonna tell me the Old Bear said you could have that? Yes, replied the goblins. Old Bear ambled up at the moment, and Moose asked him, did you leave that fish for the goblins? Old Bear looked at the goblins, who he knew were always hungry, and nodded. I did, he said. Really? Asked the moose. Really? Said the Old Bear. After Moose left, Old Bear said to the goblins, be sure to tell the princess I was kind to you, and don't steal my fish again. No, this might be during when the Old Bear still had ulterior motives for the princess. The goblins, still hungry, went out looking for one more meal. They crept up to the mangy muskrat's lodge and began to climb inside when they were dragged right back out. The stalwart moose dangled them by the seats of their pants and said, now, I know mangy muskrat didn't tell you that you could eat his food because he blames you for his coat being ruined. Besides, he barely has enough for himself and doesn't share with anyone. The goblins began to protest, but he shook his head. He set the goblins down and said, come with me. The goblins followed the stalwart moose to a part of the river where it ran slow enough for them to walk into it safely. He gave them each a fishing line and said, I am going to teach you to fish, so that when you are hungry, you do not need to steal from the animals of the forest. It will be hard work, but it will be honest. The crafty goblins were not against working hard. They were just hungry, and so they listened to Moose and soon pulled wiggling fish out of the river. They ate them up and, finally, they were no longer hungry. And that's how the stalwart moose came to teach the crafty goblins to fish. Eddie, pretty obviously. Yeah, we'll come back to the rest of this later, but there's a lot of different characters too. Moonhag, and of course Mad Hunter, the one big question mark. Sam, Eddie, Tessa. Oh, you want me to, how do you want me to do this?
Poor Moose. Really didn't do him justice.
Justice? Kind of ironic, huh?
Considering he was the lawful good one?
Too bad the law isn't really just.
Big hint. Police officer. You want me to switch the positions?
You go here. Pelican.
She was the most generous one.
Yeah, but there was always a catch.
That you had to pay back your debts. Pretty reasonable.
The bear was the most helpful one. He was always around.
Stalking her?
What? No.
I mean, he was kinda always there. Lurking. You done?
I am done. How do I show I'm done? Show to Tyler. Yeah. Eddie. Sam. Tessa. No objections.
All right, I think I'm done.
You sure?
What are you gonna do to me if I get it wrong?
How do you like them apples?
You know, I think you might be onto something. What about these guys? I don't see them being real-life people. Or this one.
Oh, that's a good point. Not everybody has to be a person. It could be a manifestation of, say, a mental illness. Or an emotion.
Yep, totally Marianne.
Why a princess, though? Why not a queen?
She hated authority.
Yeah, she'd have been a terrible ruler.
Maybe she feels like a child at heart. Or maybe she doesn't feel like an adult. There's so many reasons. Nothing. That's ominous.
The specific human attributes you have assigned to these forest animals are truly thought-provoking.
Indubitably.
You better hurry, or the Mad Hunter will catch us! We need to hide. This way! What's going on? I don't know. Is he here? Is he really here? I don't know. I'm scared. Go away! Yeah! Go back to the forest!
I forgot about that. We'd been pretending he was there.
And then, suddenly he was.
That was the only time that happened, right? Alyson? Wait. It felt way too real. It was...
Us. Pushing our imagination way too far.
Great. Sam Kansky, Grandmaster of Bad Timing. We're not done with this conversation.
Morning, Sam.
Ahoy, Goblins! I ran into Chief Brown, who said you were starting the cleanup on the house this morning, so, I kind of figured you might need some supplies.
Thank you. That was very thoughtful.
So listen, I wanted to apologize for scaring you yesterday.
You didn't. Your shotgun did.
Yeah, well, anyway, I also came by to say I fired up the Google and I did some reading. I didn't know the difference between all those words. I mean, never been much of a reader. Huh? But I think I get why what I said was wrong, and I'm real sorry. Oh, and before I forget, for the lady of the house. It was your mom's favorite recipe. Still make it darn near every week. Think of her every time.
Thanks. But we don't have a stove. Still no electricity.
Oh, yeah, that fuse box is busted. Just another thing I've been meaning to put back together around here.
Where is it? I can take care of it.
Oh, I don't doubt you can. But, I've been kicking this thing back to life for the last 20-some years. I'll give you a hand.
All right.
Boxes in the barn. Follow me.
We'll be right behind you.
I feel like I didn't finish looking around the house yet, but hey, who wants to clean anyway?